Number 1. The stick shift. Manual transmissions are slowly going extinct, and the numbers tell a brutal story. In 2001, 28% of American car buyers chose 3 pedals. By 2024, that figure collapsed to just 0.8%. Only a handful of vehicles still offer manuals, and the list shrinks every model year. The Toyota Tacoma now stands as the last manual transmission pickup truck in America after Jeep dropped the option from the Gladiator for 2025. Even enthusiast favorites are bailing out. The VW Golf GTI, a car that practically invented the hot hatch genre, lost its manual option for the first time in its 50-year history. The Mini Cooper hardtop followed suit. Over in Europe, where manuals once dominated, 97% of premium cars now come with automatics, up from just 31% in 2001. Automakers claim modern automatics are faster, more efficient, and easier to build, which is all true. But for driving enthusiasts, losing the manual means losing a direct, physical connection to the machine. There's no algorithm deciding when to shift, no computer smoothing out your mistakes. It was you, the engine, and a decision to make. Now that's almost gone. But manuals aren't the only driving ritual disappearing. Number 2. Keys. Your car keys are headed for extinction. By 2026, many automakers will eliminate physical key slots entirely, relying instead on smartphones and digital access. BMW, Hyundai, Genesis, and Tesla are pushing ultra-wideband technology that unlocks your car while your phone is still in your pocket. Walk up, the door opens. Walk away, it locks. No fumbling, no buttons. The digital car key market is projected to hit $8 billion by 2032. BMW's Digital Key Plus even won the 2025 AJAC Best Safety Innovation Award, and 33% of Hyundai customers in India now use digital keys exclusively. Convenient? Absolutely. But there are trade-offs. Your phone dies, you're locked out. Software glitches? Same problem. Plus, digital keys introduce new security concerns around hacking and relay attacks. And let's be honest, most of us have misplaced our phones just as often as our keys, so the core problem hasn't really been solved. The bigger issue is dependency. We're handing over another piece of automotive control to systems we don't fully understand or own. Speaking of control, let's talk about something even more basic. Number 3, the spare tire. Pop your trunk and look for a spare tire. There's a decent chance you won't find one. Roughly 60% of new vehicles no longer include a spare, not even a donut. Instead, you'll find a tire sealant kit with an air compressor, which only works on small tread punctures. Get a sidewall damage, a blown tire, or anything more serious? You're calling a tow truck. Automakers justify this by pointing to weight savings. A spare tire and jack add 30 to 50 pounds, which slightly hurts fuel economy and emissions testing. There's also cost savings, which manufacturers pocket while passing the inconvenience to you. Only 10% of new cars come with full-size spares anymore. 46% include space-saver donuts. The remaining 45% have repair kits or literally nothing. Some vehicles offer run-flat tires, but they're expensive to replace, provide a harsher ride, and still leave you stranded if the damage is severe. The worst part? Many buyers don't realize their car lacks a spare until they're stuck on a dark highway at 2 in the morning with no cell service. From practical concerns, we move to something far more nostalgic. Number 4, column shifters. In 1938, American car makers introduced a design that seemed genius at the time. They moved the gear selector from the floor to a lever sticking out of the steering column. This freed up the middle of the car for that crucial third passenger on the bench seat. For decades, column shifters were everywhere. Automakers bragged about the extra space, conveniently ignoring that the middle passenger usually ended up with legs splayed into each footwell and nowhere to put their arms. As cars evolved, people realized they didn't actually want to sit 3 across like sardines. They wanted comfort, cup holders, and a shifter that felt natural to use. Floor-mounted shifters returned because they're more intuitive, sportier, and work better with modern transmissions. By the 80s and 90s, column shifters were on life support, clinging to trucks, minivans, and fleet vehicles. Nowadays, even those holdouts are switching to electronic shifters, rotary dials, or push buttons. The column shifter, once hailed as brilliant innovation, is now as outdated as a rotary phone. It solved a problem that no longer exists. Technology keeps advancing, and with it, more features fall by the wayside. Number 5. Physical buttons and knobs. Remember when car controls were physical? Turn a knob for volume, press a button for the hazard lights, twist a dial for temperature. Those days are ending. Modern cars are eliminating physical controls in favor of touchscreens. Tesla led this charge by putting nearly every function into a central screen, and traditional automakers followed. Climate controls, seat heaters, driving modes, even glove box releases now require navigating menus. The justification is cost and flexibility. Touchscreens are cheaper to manufacture than arrays of buttons, and software updates can change functionality without retooling factories. But drivers hate it. Studies show touchscreen controls are dangerously distracting. Finding the right menu while driving takes your eyes off the road far longer than pressing a physical button. Consumer reports found that touchscreen-heavy vehicles had significantly lower satisfaction scores. Even regulatory bodies are pushing back. The European New Car Assessment Program now penalizes cars that bury essential controls in screens. Some manufacturers are quietly reintroducing physical buttons after customer backlash, but the damage is done. A generation of vehicles prioritized aesthetics and cost-cutting over usability and safety. The tactile satisfaction of a well-damped knob or a button with perfect click feedback? That's becoming a luxury reserved for high-end models, if you can find it at all. As digital electronics take over, analog gauges are also fading into memory. Number 6. Analog gauges go extinct. Gauge clusters used to be mechanical masterpieces. Sweeping needles, carefully calibrated dials, tiny gears and springs working together to translate engine data into visual information. There was craftsmanship involved. High-end sports cars had tachometers that swept through their range with satisfying mechanical precision. Now they're being replaced by video game graphics. Digital instrument clusters offer more information, sure. You can customize layouts, display navigation, show phone notifications. But something's been lost. The physical needle climbing toward redline had weight and consequence. When that tachometer swept into the danger zone, you felt it. Digital displays present the same information as pixels on a screen. It's clinical, detached. Enthusiasts particularly mourn this shift. There's a visceral satisfaction to analog gauges that screens can't replicate, a direct mechanical link between what the engine is doing and what you're seeing. Digital clusters also fail in ways analog gauges never did. Software glitches can black out your entire dashboard. Screens die in extreme temperatures. And unlike mechanical gauges that could last decades, digital displays have limited lifespans before they dim, pixelate, or simply stop working. The transition was inevitable, but the loss is real. Number 7. Handbrakes. The manual parking brake is nearly extinct. Electronic parking brakes have replaced them in most new cars. Press a button and electric motors engage the rear brakes. Release it the same way, or let the car do it automatically when you press the accelerator. For average drivers, electronic parking brakes are convenient. You can't forget to release them, and they free up center console space for cup holders and storage. But for driving enthusiasts, the loss stings. Manual handbrakes provided feedback. You knew exactly how engaged they were. Electronic systems are invisible, silent, and completely detached from your control. They also complicate emergency maneuvers. In a brake failure situation, yanking a handbrake lever could slow the car. With electronic systems, you're dependent on electronics that might be compromised in the same failure. And forget about handbrake turns. That's simply impossible now. Some performance cars still offer manual parking brakes, acknowledging that enthusiasts value the mechanical connection. But they're exceptions. The vast majority of vehicles have traded mechanical simplicity and driver engagement for electronic convenience. Once it's gone completely, an entire generation will never know what they're missing. But it's not just controls that are disappearing. Number 8. Ashtrays and cigarette lighters. In the 1950s, nearly half of Americans smoked, and cars were built around that habit. Every row had ashtrays. Fancy models offered illuminated versions for nighttime smoking. The iconic spring-loaded cigarette lighter sat in the dashboard, ready to heat up with a satisfying click. It was brilliant unless you accidentally touched the glowing coil and branded your finger like livestock. These features weren't optional extras. They were standard equipment, as essential as seats and steering wheels. Advertisements even leaned into it. One famous Camel ad claimed more doctors smoke Camels than any other cigarette, which tells you everything about the era's priorities. By the 80s and 90s, smoking rates plummeted. People realized they didn't want new cars smelling like ashtrays. Slowly, the lighter and ashtray disappeared, replaced by 12-volt power ports for phone chargers and empty cup holder spaces. That cigarette lighter socket you use today for charging devices? It's a repurposed relic from when cars catered to smokers. The transformation happened quietly but completely. What was once essential automotive equipment became obsolete within a generation, displaced by changing health attitudes and cultural shifts. From functionality to pure aesthetics, features kept vanishing. Number 9. Whitewall tires. Whitewall tires were automotive jewelry. That crisp white ring around black rubber turned ordinary cars into showpieces. From the 40s through the 60s, they were everywhere. Luxury cars, sports cars, family sedans, everybody wanted them. Park next to someone with plain black tires, and suddenly their car looked like it was wearing Crocs while yours had Italian loafers. The look actually came from chemistry. Rubber isn't naturally black, it's off-white. Tire makers discovered that adding carbon black made tires last significantly longer, but people loved that white aesthetic. So manufacturers kept making them with tough black tread on the road and fancy white sidewalls for show. Best of both worlds. By the 70s and 80s, though, whitewall started looking dated. Car designs shifted towards sleek modern aesthetics with aggressive black wall or low-profile tires. Whitewalls suddenly felt like something your grandfather drove. The transition happened fast. What was high society in the 60s became a retirement community by the 80s. Today, you'll only see white walls on vintage cars, custom hot rods, or the occasional classic restoration. Modern performance tires made them obsolete, but really, it was fashion that killed them. Speaking of style choices, let's talk about something even more decorative. Number 10. Vinyl roofs. Vinyl roofs were the automotive equivalent of a toupee. In the 60s and 70s, car makers wrapped sedan roofs in vinyl to make them look like convertibles without the engineering costs. Buyers loved it initially. It added perceived luxury to ordinary cars without spending convertible money. Some vehicles had partial vinyl coverage, others went full wrap, often paired with those decorative Landau bars. From a distance, it looked upscale. Up close, not so much. The problems emerged quickly. Vinyl cracked in sunlight, faded to weird colors, and peeled like a bad sunburn. Worse, moisture trapped underneath caused serious rust problems. What looked classy when new became an eyesore within a few years. By the 80s, people wised up. A normal painted roof was cleaner, cheaper, and didn't require explaining why your car looked like it had a bad hairpiece. The vinyl roof quietly disappeared from showrooms, relegated to funeral cars and limousines where traditional aesthetics still matter. Today, seeing a vinyl roof in decent condition is rare enough to turn heads, but usually for the wrong reasons. It's a reminder that not every design trend was worth following. These weren't the only decorative choices that faded. Number 11. Suicide doors. Suicide doors opened backward instead of forward, hinged at the rear rather than the front. In the 1930s and 40s, they were the ultimate luxury feature. Getting in and out was dramatically easier, especially if you were wearing formal clothes. Stepping out of a car with suicide doors felt like arriving on a red carpet, even if you were just heading to the corner store. The 1960s Lincoln Continental became the poster child for this design, with its dramatic center opening doors. You didn't just arrive somewhere, you made an entrance. Lincoln even brought them back briefly in 2019 and 2020 as a nostalgic farewell before discontinuing the Continental entirely. But here's why they're called suicide doors. If one popped open while you were driving, the wind didn't just catch it. The air pressure tried to rip it completely off the car and potentially drag you out with it. Not exactly the thrill ride buyers wanted. Once safety regulations tightened and seatbelt laws came into effect, rear hinge doors became liability nightmares for manufacturers. They quietly faded away in favor of conventional front hinge doors that were dramatically safer if they accidentally opened during motion. Speaking of decorative choices that outstayed their welcome, let's discuss another odd placement decision. Number 12. Fender-mounted mirrors. Fender-mounted mirrors lived way out on the fenders instead of on the doors where you could actually reach them. The theory was that positioning them forward meant drivers wouldn't need to turn their heads as much to check blind spots. In practice, adjusting these mirrors required arms like an orangutan, or getting out of the car to fiddle with them manually like adjusting old TV antennas. Japanese manufacturers particularly loved this setup through the 60s, 70s, and into the 80s. Toyota Crowns and Datsun 240Zs proudly displayed their mirrors on the fenders as part of their design identity. In Japan, the style became almost iconic for a while. But the problems were obvious. If you bumped a curb or scraped against something, your mirror was first in the firing line. Adjustments were nearly impossible without stopping, and despite the theoretical visibility benefits, most drivers found them more annoying than helpful. By the mid-80s, sanity finally prevailed. Manufacturers moved mirrors back to the doors where they belonged. Fender mirrors became a quirky historical footnote, one of those ideas that looked good on paper but failed spectacularly in real-world use. Fun to look at in vintage photos, terrible to actually live with. So, which of these vanishing features do you miss the most? Are we losing something valuable? Or is this just inevitable progress? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this trip down the automotive memory lane, smash that like button and subscribe for more content exploring how our world keeps evolving. Until next time, stay curious.